Welcome everybody to another episode from yours truly, Spot of Nerd. Yep, it's been a while again, but it is what it is. Lo and behold, a miracle has actually happened, and I want to talk about that miracle because they're very rare when talking about DC. I recently got to watch The Batman, and though I was very worried because DC tends to shit all over their live action films, DC actually nailed this. This was absolutely incredible. So, without further ado, let's get the intros out of the way and let's talk about Robert Pattinson's The Batman. Directed by Matt Reeves, and if you've known Matt Reeves' work, he actually does some pretty good films. When we first heard of this movie, Corona, COVID, yada yada yada, this movie's been delayed and been delayed and been delayed. There was reshoots, I think there was reshoots, but anyway, there was a lot to be worried about. Above all else, Robert Pattinson, Twilight, as the Batman. Not even just the movie, The Batman, but putting him in the Batsuit, giving him a Batmobile, giving him Alfred. It was scary. I was worried. I'm like, you can't make a Twilight, twinkly, sparkly vampire become the Batman. It's just not okay. It's like people that put pineapple on their pizza. It's just wrong. But I was blown away. I genuinely think this movie is fantastic, and I encourage you to not drink a lot of fluids before, but to really go and watch this film in theaters. It has one of the greatest intros I've ever seen in a live-action Batman film. Now, my favorite will always be Michael Keaton, 1989 Batman, Jack Nicholson. Second to that, of course, Christian Bale with Heath Ledger as the Joker, yada yada yada. What really makes this film so incredible and so unique was because a lot of different reasons, which I'll go into. Spoiler warning, I'm gonna give you spoilers. If you don't want to know, close your ears, go watch, come back, watch this, like it, comment, thank you. But they took this movie differently. They didn't start with the origin story. For the love of God, we don't need another fucking Batman origin story. We know what happens. So this picks up 2 years into Bruce Wayne being the Batman. We also are already introduced to multiple characters. The Penguin's in it, soon to be Commissioner Gordon. You've got Falcone. At the end, there's a hint of the Joker. And of course, the main villain around this film is the Riddler. What's so great though is how it all is encompassed. And it's very similar to Christopher Nolan's Batman series because you can actually make this in a real world scenario. Obviously, the Batmobile can be customized to make it realistic. I think they took like a Dodge Challenger and put a jet engine on the back. But it looks real enough that it could be legit. I even read an article. There's one of the most amazing car sequences in this film that wasn't CGI. They legitimately, you might have actually seen it in the preview, like in the trailer.
What's black and blue and dead all over?
I got you!
Believe it or not, that was not CGI. They actually did that stunt. And that's what makes it, because this film is gritty, it's dark, really dark actually. There's literally 1 or 2 spots of daylight and that's it. The entire rest of the film is at night and it's always raining. It's like being in the Pacific Northwest. They really took the time and effort to make this what we know Batman to be in the DC comic universe, but in a live action sense. And it's also a thriller. This movie it's scary. Do not take your children. It's very Saw-like. You have the Riddler, who is completely fucked in the head, and he's murdering people. The mayor of Gotham is murdered because, let's be real, politics, bureaucracy, everybody is corrupt, everybody has story to tell, and it's probably a bad story, but in the media, everything looks golden. Russia and Ukraine. But with this film, it picks up the Riddler has murdered people, and he's murdering these politicians and these policemen and all this other stuff to tell no lies. Enough of the lies. Kind of similar to what we're seeing today in our politics, where it's all bullshit, and if you believe a word that's coming out of these politicians' mouths, you're a fool. It's a detective show. So imagine the Batman with Jason, Freddy Krueger, but some of the best CSI television shows you've ever watched. And it really, again, it just encompasses what that DC universe is. Dark and gritty and violent and gory and graphic, with just the most messed up people you can think of. You also have some amazing supporting cast. You have Catwoman. I do apologize, I forgot the actress's name, but amazing. That really kind of, reminds me back again of the Keaton days, where you've got Selena Kyle that's falling in love, or potentially falling in love, with the Batman, and you have Batman falling in love with Selena Kyle. Their relationship works really well together. So lo and behold, the film, the whole story goes throughout its process, and this is where I would have just a little bit of critique. It is 3 hours. I am not kidding you. This fucker is 3 hours. Hopefully you won't need to use the bathroom, but sweet mother of God, this is a long film. And I don't mean this in a negative way, because the 3 hours works, but I don't think it needed to be 3 hours. That first hour and a bit really is developing the story. Who's getting murdered, the Riddler is murdering, the Batman building the relationship with Catwoman, yada yada yada. And then it does take a little bit of a dive south, because again, this film really focuses on the Riddler and how to catch him with all the madness that's going on. But it detours. It goes into the Selena Kyle aspect and Falcone, which I could see why it's in the film, but it didn't necessarily need to be there. And I think maybe that would have been done better in a separate film, perhaps. Maybe her own story. Maybe give Catwoman in this same universe her own film would have been much better. The only other kind of very minuscule critique I have is, of course, Robert Pattinson's Batman. Credit where credit's due. Probably 90% of this film, he is in the Batsuit, which is amazing. The fight sequences, the action, and Robert Pattinson, though I was very worried at first, he does pull off an amazing Batman. Very stern, very dark. But the problem is when he takes the suit off. He becomes a very depressed, goth-like kid, and it kind of ruins the Bruce Wayne side of things. You have Alfred, who is amazing, and again, Alfred's only in it for 2 minutes, but you actually find his character a lot more convincing than you do Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne. So that's where I think they missed a little bit of the mark. If anything, just keep Pattinson in the Batsuit, and everything in the future for sequels will be just fine. With all that said, I just want to say this movie was amazing. It was just awesome. Even the music, everything down to the music, his theme, the Batman theme it just reminds me of the good old days back when DC could produce a decent live action film and not bring out the rest of this shit like the Wonder Woman garbage they've recently brought out and blah 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 blah. So there's hope. Now, this movie does not fall into the DC universe. This will definitely be a standalone film. I mean, hopefully we'll get sequels, but there's no way it's gonna fall in line with the Henry Cavill and the Mimosa guy for Aquaman. And maybe that's a good thing. I hope that's a good thing, because this thing was phenomenal. I really do give credits, from production value to the action, the fighting, the story. My God, this story I'm just blown away on We're finally given a Batman film that had a solid, decent storyline that didn't revolve around an origin story, that didn't revolve around just weird neon lights and crazy concept cars, which, don't get me wrong, the Batmobile cars are amazing in previous movies. This was just giving you a real take at imagine today's world, but with a Batman in it. It's fucking amazing. And I guess for me personally, it also just kind of validates a little bit on my political scheme, whatever that word is, where, yeah, I'm sorry, but if you believe a word that comes out of politicians' mouths, I think you're an idiot. In the end, it results in creating vigilantes like the Batman to stop crime, or, you know, you have to put it into the citizens' hands of your own protection. Trust me when I say this is an incredible film. Go check it out right now. I give it 4 cups of tea out of 4 cups of tea. You won't be disappointed whatsoever. Anyway, y'all, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a like right down the bottom. Throw me a comment. Have you seen it yet? Let me know what you think. I hope you feel the same. If you didn't, tell me why. As always, don't hesitate. Please feel free to give me a subscribe right down below. We will see you all next time. Later, y'all.
I got you!
For real though, just like I've been saying this whole review, I'm not joking you, the introduction of this film, the introduction of the Batman, hands down probably my favorite of any Batman film that has ever existed. I genuinely thought the Christian Bale Batman, Heath Ledger, was probably one of the best, most greatest Batman films that ever was. Just the beginning sequence, not the film, just the beginning sequence actually now tops as #1 most favorite scene ever in a live action Batman film.